Hello, and welcome to Survivor Debrief. My name's Eden Porter, the unlucky loser from Survivor Titans vs. Rebels, and with me, as always, is my comedic partner and real life brother, Joshua Porter. How you going, Josh?
I'm going great. This season is twisting and turning, and I was thinking about it. I'm like, it seems chaotic, and very little is like set in stone and connected, but it doesn't feel chaotic in a way of new players that don't know what they're doing. Like, I find that really interesting. It just seems like everyone is playing such an individual game, and they're really moving around as they see fit in any moment. It seems so spread out and open.
I completely agree, Joshua. I completely agree. I think it's high caliber play, but everyone is like looking out for number one at the end of the day, which is very good. Except, you know what's interesting? What I feel like's happened? I feel like the world team, Poverty and Surrey are locked. They are locked in and happy to go.
Feels like it, yeah.
And then you've got the three world people who have no reason to break up. They've been fine. I actually think it's a bit of a case of, let's see, who did they vote out? They voted out Rob, and that was like pretty unanimous. Then they voted out Tony. That was pretty unanimous. Like, they've had these votes where they've got rid of these people, right? Whereas the world, hey, I don't want David to go. Yes, David.
Australia. You've been Australia.
Sorry, Australia. We don't want David to go. Oh, we don't want George to go. And there's this. There were a lot of different people not getting what they wanted, and it was a bit fractured. That's true.
Yeah.
And I think coming into the merge now, that's really shown itself. That people are like, especially from the Australia side, are like, well, I wasn't really with anyone massively.
Yeah.
We were just doing our thing to get through, and now we're here. And I think it could be coming. And I was poo-pooing Luke last week when he was like, oh, if you don't stick together, the world's going to kill us and all this sort of stuff. And lo and behold,
I was going to say,
sort of how it sort of panned out.
Very prescient. And I really enjoyed that conversation with Luke and Kirby, because she was like, well, I put the name out there for you. He's like, I didn't know you had the numbers. Like, I didn't know you had the people. And it's such an interesting distinction of like, is this conversation, just putting it out there to see what the feel is versus like, no, I've got people behind this. We can do this.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting is that, like, this was a big Janine coming out episode, I feel. Like a huge episode for her.
Janine is getting in people's ears very consistently. She did it with Kirby, and then she's done it again this episode.
She's getting the juice in the ears. She's getting the juice in the ears. She's the little earworm, I feel like. She's not. I wouldn't call it, like, she's been referred to as the godmother in past seasons, but this time it's less her saying this is what we need to do. It's more like, hey, have you heard about this? Hey, this is happening there, and she's done it 3 times now.
But my understanding, it doesn't feel like it's always true, though. Like,
no, it's not. The Cass stuff was a lie. The Cass stuff was a complete lie.
That's what I mean, and it's interesting that people are viewing her as a reliable source of information. Like
a reliable narrator.
A reliable narrator. Like, it doesn't seem like it's being questioned too much, which is really interesting. The other interesting thing, it seems like, as you mentioned, like the 3 world players feeling like really, really locked in, really like communal, like talking through stuff, figuring stuff out together. And I don't really see that coming through from the Australians, but it seems like this little world group is like, no, we're locked in and let's talk this out. Let's figure it out. What's going on? Who's with who, that kind of thing.
I feel like the world group are an actual alliance. I feel like those guys are actually an alliance and they actually know what's going on.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest difference at the end of the day, I feel.
One other interesting thing I found, I'd like to get your thoughts on it. Again, the idea of alliance maintenance. And it does seem that Parvati maybe needs to feed a little bit more to Lisa and Cass, because they seem a bit like, Parvati's not talking to me. What's going on? I'm not feeling it. And she's, playing, I don't want to make it too obvious, that kind of thing. How do you think Parvati's maintaining that alliance?
I have that exact note there. Alliance management from Parv is not great. I feel like she's spreading herself a bit too thin, and she's making it known like, oh, this is the group I want to go with. She needs the fact that the way that she shut down Lisa was like, I've seen that happen before, and people don't feel good about that. Even though it's just a natural reaction to be like, no, let's not be a group. Let's stay apart. And people always talk about strategies going in where they go, you know what, I'm going to have a secret alliance. I'm not going to really talk to the person at all. And it's going to be great. And no one's going to know about it. But then the flip side of that is then the person that you're meant to be in the alliance with then doesn't actually feel that connection.
Yeah.
And they don't actually feel like they're involved in conversations.
Do we think... what seemed to be a successful version of that was Miles and AJ. Like it seemed like they had that kind of going on that a lot of people didn't realize how close they were. Do you think that's a successful demonstration of that?
Yeah, I think that's a really good demonstration of people that could stay apart and even pretend to vote for each other and then have these really quick, intense conversations. A lot of good conversations happen at night, the dead of the night, when no one's around and stuff like that. And the flip side of that is a lot of those conversations aren't recorded either because they're just little chats and stuff like that, and that's how you sort of start bonding with people.
Yeah,
that is really interesting. The start bit as well, the Kirby Luke relationship seems to have totally broken down to the point of that they're no longer on the same page.
Well, I just think Luke was like, I thought we were going Aussie strong. You've completely blown that open. I guess there's this 4 in the middle now, so we got to work something else out. So I kind of understand where he's coming from to be like, you know, you asked me this question about doing this vote, but you didn't really give me all the information you had, and then I probably would have gone along with you. You know, I think that's an interesting dynamic, maybe.
Yeah, and because he said no, you threw out the name, and then I was like, don't do it, we're not going to do it, and then we didn't lock in. You didn't say I am doing it.
Yeah,
and he said, you didn't say you had numbers. You didn't say you had these 4 other people there.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. Anything else before we get to the meat of the challenge and the scramble? Because scrambles where it all
there's more juicy stuff. Let's go to the immunity challenge.
Yeah, let's go to the immunity challenge.
Love a weight percentage. Love it.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you love weight percentage. Weight percentage does not work for me because I'm taller, so I am weaker.
It's not about what works for you, Eden.
Yeah,
it's about what works for me, the viewer.
No. Because then I'm taller, so I have a bit more weight because I'm taller, but I don't have the same muscles.
Yeah. So what if it was a hold a block on your head height thing?
Yeah, that's great. Do that. Yeah.
I've got big tippy toes.
Me and Danny Boatwright are finding the height arm length like challenge thing. Go watch Guatemala.
This one looked absolutely brutal from the start. Like
Where was the weight? Was the weight inside the tubey bits?
I guess it's just a heavy plank, like heavy logs.
because it all had to be different amounts of weight.
Look, they probably
weights.
filled with sand or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's probably what I was thinking as well. These are the questions people want to know. So.
How did they manage the weight?
Yeah.
The percentage weight? I reckon. Do you think they maybe swung it too far? Because it seemed like to lose people within 10 minutes is maybe not what they want, or is
to
it
lose
what they
Sari
want?
within a minute?
Yeah,
is
right.
Wild. Honestly, because of editing, right, it doesn't actually matter how long a challenge goes for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because they cut it anyway. So it can be a 5-hour challenge and it's just over 2 minutes, or it can be a 2-minute challenge and they show it in real time.
Because this one in some ways almost looked dangerous. Like genuinely, like if someone's arm got a bit too tired and twisted in the wrong position or something, like I was a bit worried. What do you make of Luke's in all of these challenges being very vocal of his struggles? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a strategy or?
I don't think it's a strat. I think he's just emoting. I think it's good TV. I think it's fun for people at home. But I don't think he's sitting there going like, this will throw people off. Yeah. This will really get them in. But I agree. It was a brutal challenge. It's a weird spot for your arms. It's quite high. It was quite lifted as well.
Yeah, because it's like, do you lock your elbows in or is that really dangerous? And then like Luke was saying, his wrists. Well, again, what's really interesting though, Cass and Pav rocking it to the end.
So good.
Like,
it's funny.
Very scary.
Pav looks like built. Like her arms were looking strong.
Yep.
Cass was just chilling. Cass was literally just chilling that whole time and just didn't look phased. She was on one foot. She was looking at her Crocs. Like she could really be trouble. But I also think it's painted a target on her back for later on in the season where they go, well, we have to get rid of Cass because she's so good.
After her 2 previous performances with the feet on the blocks and then this one, I think she's absolutely got a target on her now, and she might get to a point very soon where they're like, we just have to get rid of her because she will just go on a streak. Like if you lose a few other people, you could very easily see her going on a streak, I think.
Yeah, massively. The flirt game with Pav and Curbs, it's always happening in every challenge. Like Kirby's looking over at Pav, how's she doing? Oh, I'm out. Pav's still in. You go. Like it's really
It's an interesting duo of having 2 people like using the same weapon and knowing the playbook and that kind of thing, but very much, as Pavdi said, like enjoying it, you know, like I think that's part of it's interesting to be aware of someone's skill or talent in that aspect, and not sort of being persuaded by it because you're aware of it, but you're like, no, I'm going to entertain this. I'm enjoying this. This is fun. This is interesting.
And it's and the people that you have fun with as well. Like you can have an alliance of convenience with someone that you're like, well, we have to be together because we're both on the bottom.
Yeah.
But it's the alliances when you have fun with someone, you can joke around. They're the ones that are actually way stronger because you generally like the person, and it is harder to vote them out because you're having fun with them, and because you get stuck with people that you don't really like. So it's interesting.
It's interesting this season with the condensed timeline. Like, I wonder if that will play less of a factor because it's like,
yeah, maybe. I
know I'm not going to be with this person for 30 days. It's just going to be another 10, you know?
And there's more conversations about Parv and Curbs saying about take someone to the end. Like, would you be happy to take me to the end? Yeah, I would. And I would be happy to take you. And I did think there was a little bit to it because those are two players that would probably feel they would beat each other in the end. And that's the perfect situation you want.
Yeah.
You want someone that wants to take you because they think they can beat you, but you know that they can't.
It did feel like they probably could have used each other as well. And I think overall, I think not to skip too far ahead, but I feel like Parvati probably would have liked to go with Kirby, but when the names were coming in from everyone else, it just seemed completely untenable. Like, and that's like an interesting dynamic of, well, I've got these people I want to work with, but my other alliance members and my other people are bringing me these names, and it's like, well, I can't really go against this stuff. You know, that's the difficulty of it, that you don't want to rest your game on the line. Because I did feel Parvati was seriously, like, I got a sense that her and Kirby... Like, it was so interesting seeing Kirby, like, again, trying to reinforce, like, I'm absolutely with you, I'm with you, I'm with you. How much do you think the information around, Sarah and Kirby they were there ride or die?
Okay. Yeah, so interesting thing is Kirby was 100% honest with Parv, and I think Parv believed her. It wasn't a case of Parv going, I don't actually believe Kirby. I think Parv knew the score, could read Kirby, and like that whole confessional she did about being Khaleesi and Kirby would be the dragon, all that sort of stuff. That's all great, but I think that was legit. Where it fell down is I don't think Parv wants to fight so hard, like be seen to be fighting so hard to save Kirby. If everyone is going, oh look, it's all coming down this way. She could have used her idol on her. Yeah, that's a huge call. That's a huge fucking
Well, then
call.
then you are just putting yourself in, okay, well, I'm in a duo. And it's like, she's already kind of got a duo with Sari anyway, and then she's also got the other world people who are kind of with her. So the only benefit, I think, is for Parvati is keeping Kirby as a bit of a shield. I find it interesting, though, how it seemed like the tide turned so quickly on Kirby. Like, it seemed like almost out of nowhere. And it didn't necessarily seem like a direct response to... the Sarah, well, it kind of was to the Sarah vote, but kind of wasn't. I don't know if you know what I mean. Like,
yeah, I know exactly what you mean, because at the end of the day, no one was like, "This is revenge for Sarah."
Yeah,
sort of thing. So no one was saying, was putting that forward. But what it was, and it's really interesting that it ended up happening this way, was almost instantly when it came out that Sarah was Kirby's number one. That was the thing that surprised people. Yeah. And it was almost like they didn't know it initially. And then it was like, oh, and then Sari got the information and then told it to Barb and everything like that. And there was a genuine shock of, hang on, they were tight and then she burnt her? That's wild. And there was less of the conversation of, but Sarah had started to feel less connected and was being a bit of a float. And then that's why ultimately she ended up getting turned on. Yeah. But that was interesting. It was like, oh, wow, okay. She just turned on her major alliance. What's going to stop her doing that to me? That was the feeling.
The thing I found most interesting is the four of Kirby, Shani, Parvati, and Sari just didn't seem to be a thing. Like, I thought they'd come together in this moment, and then it turns out, I guess it's just, no, we're at 5-5. We need to do something different. Yeah. I'm not joining this quad forever. I found that really interesting because I thought, that's going to be a powerful four moving forward. You know, all the six on the other sides are going to have to work it out and figure out how they're going to maneuver and all that kind of stuff.
Everyone did. And everyone was like, oh, look at the Sean tent and this is the new Black Widow and all this sort of stuff. And ultimately... this fear that got just planted in everyone's heads of, well, she's going to turn on you eventually, so you got to get her. And again, I think this comes back down to the contracted game of someone's going to come for you. It's going to be quicker than you think, and it's going to really bite you in the back. And I look, let's talk about Janine for a second here, because there was three times where she planted the seeds. So one was with Sarah. So she planted the seed with Kirby saying, actually, Sarah sort of mentioned your name sort of in a roundabout way. And then Sarah's gone. Then she had the Cass one with Parv, and she sort of put it out there saying, well, I think maybe, like, she said we need to go after targets. And
Yeah.
And it's funny, it's the way that Janine did it as well was really good, because she structured that particular conversation like, oh, it wasn't Cass is gunning for you, she's been saying your name everywhere. It was just very, this is what she was sort of thinking, and it fed into what Parvati had already thought about. And so it reinforced things, and that's when you've got them on the hook. When it reinforces things in their own head, then she was like, oh, this is happening.
Do you think that's lucky from Janine that Parvati's had those thoughts, or do you think Janine sniffed that out and been like, I reckon I can add some water to this?
I reckon there was a little bit of sniffing going on by Janine. Yep. I think there was a little bit of squeezing the juice, if you will, out. Because I think she noticed that like Cass and her and Parv had gone really far in the challenges, and there's a bit of a rivalry there, and like that's something that you can chip away at. But then instantly when Cass wins immunity, that's off the table now. All that work is for nothing. And what does Janine do? She goes back and she starts it again, and she now is planting seeds about Kirby, which is the first person to really do that effectively.
Here's a question for Eden. In when Janine came to Sari and was sort of first putting Kirby out there, do you think you need to come with more of a plan, or do you just come with a name and let Sari figure it out? Because should Janine be like, oh, hey, I reckon we could get this person and this person would never vote against Kirby, but if we've got these two, like, do you need to have that kind of plan in mind, or can it just be like, hey, have you thought about Kirby? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think there's two things. Sometimes it's good to have numbers and to come to the table with everyone's doing this, so you better get on board, because I've got 4 people and it's happening. That's when it's almost, it's a little threatening. It's a little, this is already happening. It's a little fait accompli, if you will. But the other end of the spectrum is if you come in there going, hey, this is what I think we should do. We should get these people and do this. It can come across a little bit disingenuous. Like it can, and it can come across a bit like, this is my plan. Are you in on it? And then it gives them a bit more wiggle room to be like, well, hang on, I'm going to think about that for a minute. Whereas if they come up with a plan, that's where you want to be. You want to have an idea, come in, put all the pieces of the puzzle laid out, and then you get them to put it together. And then once they feel like it's their idea, then they're way more likely to go through with it.
Yeah.
And I think Janine did that quite well with just putting enough things out there into Sari and then letting Sari sell it to Parv. Like, it's not like she sat down with both of them going, hey guys, this is what I think we should do, because that would never work. But if you've got Sari one-on-one with Parv, talking her through it, going like, I honestly didn't think Sari would pick it up, but there was a weird sort of connection with, and I think Janine does actually really like Sari as a player. And was a big fan of hers. Yeah. And I think that played into it a little bit of like, I actually do want to work with you. And I think that honesty Sari probably picked up on. Yeah. And was way more susceptible, because at the end of the day, like that is a huge get for Janine. Like, this is, are we giving the Kirby scalp to Janine?
It seems like she was the instigator. Because one interesting thing that I had a thought about how this all played out is looking at Parvati and Kirby, like, I definitely feel like people probably saw them as a bit of a duo. Like Kirby was pretty open about that. Do you think having 2 really strong players kind of openly being like, no, we're going to start working together, does that scare people? And they're like, well, we have to break that up. We can't afford to have these 2 really strong players working together because they're just going to steamroll us. Do you think there's any validity to that?
Yeah, I think if you're another strong big player like a Sari or someone with a bit known, I think you're fine with that. You're fine with doing that. And I think that's what Sarah, in her exit interview, she was saying. Her assumption of the game with where the Survivor has come to at the moment was very much like all the big threats would team up together, and then if she could hook onto a big threat and be that extra vote, and then sort of get along, and then because she was really worried about being seen as not a big player, not one of these huge players, and all the big players getting together and go like, okay, let's get rid of Janine, let's get rid of Sarah, let's get rid of these people that don't have as big a Survivor profile. And it didn't happen at all. Like Dave was targeted, George was targeted, these big people were targeted, and then it was like, oh, okay, maybe
this isn't what I thought was going to happen.
This is not what I thought, and you have to sort of be like on the fly to get around that. So that I thought that was really interesting as well.
Should we move on to Tribal?
Oh yeah, let's move on. There's heaps of stuff to talk about. But yeah, we'll move on to tribal now. So, Pav, do you think Pav was really thinking about using her idol?
I don't think so. I think you're pissing off too many people. I think, yes, you probably have this ride or die that will stick with you, but I think she feels she can navigate it well enough with the other people she's got in the game. I think she's like, well, I'm going to knock off the other Aussies, maybe use one of them a bit later. I've already used Shonny in one vote, so it's like I've got something there. So I feel like I think you would close so many options by saving Kirby and not really open any up necessarily by doing something like that.
So I actually think there was a position or a possibility when it could have worked really well is if the 2 Aussies and the 3 worlds teamed up to become a group of 5, right? And you 4 were in the middle, and you got wind that it's Kirby, and you played it on Kirby then, and you bounced it back and got rid of someone else.
Yeah.
Then I think that's probably worth it because you're showing your group is still together. And you're chipping it down the numbers of everyone else, and then it becomes a 4-3, 4-5. Then it becomes a 4-4 again, and then you've got Lisa, and maybe Lisa, you swing Lisa in. You go, that's it. So I think in that particular situation, it probably was. But once everyone else on her group was also voting Kirby, I think at that point, you're right. There's no point using the idol in that regard.
No, and I found it interesting that it seemed like the merge didn't really settle anything, and it also didn't put the rest of the world players weren't like, why don't you tell us about, we would have done Sarah, like 100% we would have done Sarah. Like, it's interesting that there didn't seem to be any fallout of that, of like, you kept us out of the vote. And maybe it's because like, well, actually this way, if an idol gets played, it's kind of safer in some ways. So it's interesting to like cut people out of a vote and then it not really matter at all the next one.
Well, what about Kirby coming back to Luke and being like, yeah, let's go Aussie Strong again.
That was weird. Strong. I was like, I don't know if he's going to buy that.
And what she was saying, let's get back on Lisa. Was it because she ultimately was the only one who voted for Lisa?
But then it's kind of like, well, you've already lost one of the Aussie people, so you're kind of down in the numbers now. So I don't know if that works to like, oh, we'll just ping pong back and forth.
And it was a weird read, like, because like, does no one realize that Lisa and Suri are super tight? Does no one realize that?
I guess not.
Why would Kirby put Lisa out there if in her group of 4 that was their extra? That was their extra person.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Very, very, very interesting. I like the bamboozled reference at Tribal Council.
Very good.
That was very good. I really like that.
Flim flam, bamboozled, and hoodwinked.
Hoodwinked. I'm very good.
One thing I found interesting, just as a general thing, I know there was a moment when Parvati was sort of saying something. This coded talk to your alliance members at Tribal. How do you make sure the right people get your coded message and they believe it? Do you think people will sometimes, because the presumption is it's always true, these coded messages they're saying. Well, I'm just saying that this thing, like, do you think that's fair, or do you just use that coded chat sometimes to be like, no, I'm gonna throw them off here?
No, I think most of the time it's genuine, and most of the time it's a signal to be like, stick to the plan without saying stick to the plan. Like that's what you want to do. You don't want people to think there's a plan, but you're pretty much saying, I am doing my last conversation. The person I have my last conversation with knows who they are, and that's me saying to you, stick to the plan. But I don't want to tell everyone. And that's, rest in peace, Keith now. Stick to the plan.
Stick to the plan.
Man, I know. What else we got? Oh, there was also a Ferris reference. We got a shout out to Ferris reference.
Shout out to Ferris. Yes. And things with the actual voting that I found really interesting. Luke and Janine not voting together. I think that's huge.
Yeah. So I think now this is really interesting. I had this in my notes as well. Now, Janine, because Suri said to Parvati, Janine wants to do this without Luke.
Yeah.
And I think Janine knows how tight Luke and Kirby actually are, because that didn't really come through in the game.
That's true. Yeah.
And I think Janine knows that by telling Luke, there was a high possibility that Luke would tell Kirby, and that Kirby would get wind of it, and then it would be blown up. And I think she did that on purpose to try and get Kirby. I think that wasn't a sign of her breaking up with Luke. That was a sign of her going, I don't think Luke's going to turn on Kirby.
So you think that won't necessarily split them up? If it's just one vote, you're like, hey, I had to do this because you were too close and I was worried about this. You can smooth that over, you think?
Yeah, I think that'll be okay. And you keep forgetting Luke's got an idol as well. So Luke's a very dangerous player in this game at the moment.
Yeah.
Like it's very interesting.
The other interesting thing, it's always sad with the person going home is like throwing their vote wherever. But Kirby's explanation of going to try and dismantle the world tribe, it's kind of like you were all one tribe and we're not down tribal lines, and then you get rid of Sarah. Now you're like, okay, now let's get on the like. It seems really confused and muddled of like.
Yes.
Committing one way and then pulling back and trying to go the other way. And it's kind of like, oh, it's a bit too late now, you know?
It got a bit muddled. And the other thing is, did Parv think that Kirby was running Shonny? I think she might have. I think Parv might have thought, well, Kirby's got Shonny, so that's another vote locked in, just like her and Sari are sort of together. Whereas they really don't have Shonny.
Well, that was something else I wrote. It seems like Shonny is a massive free agent and is
Shonny's
just
massively free agent.
Jumping around.
So Shonny voted for Sari with Luke.
With Luke, yeah.
Yeah, so she was talking to Luke and they were like, let's do something else. Who else did they think they had to vote for Sari?
I don't know, maybe some of
the world.
The
World. They thought
yeah.
the world.
I think they were with
they thought the world.
Yeah.
They thought the world were doing that, but the world turned, mate. The world turned.
The world keeps turning.
That's exactly right.
A few things. So obviously, yeah, unfortunately Kirby goes home. It feels like this vote in particular, like, compared to others, I've got so many more questions about what happened to Kirby, because it seemed like this massive 180 in like one vote, which is kind of like one day, really. Do you think she just played too hard and people were like, she's doing so much? Because we were sort of saying no one's throwing a name out, and then it's like everyone threw a name out and she's gone. Like, it wasn't even on the lips of anyone, and then all of a sudden it's just flipped.
It was almost like that she had this invisible barrier up, right? That was like, don't mention Kirby's name, because if you do, it's going to blow up in your face.
Yeah.
But then it was this barrier that just one little crack in, once you whispered its name, it lost all power, because then it was out, and then the world didn't stop.
No. And I was like, oh, we can do this.
Oh, we can do this. This is something we can talk about. This is the there was an ideal that they sort of got behind of. It suddenly became real, and it was happening, and people were getting on board. Yeah.
The other interesting thing I wanted to ask you, in terms of the caliber of players that are playing here, do you think we are seeing a world strong of like, no, you stick with your tribe as long as you can. You don't need to jump around, like keep knocking off the Aussies, even if we have to vote with them and jump over with them, we're just going to pick them off.
No, I think this was more like a Kirby thing. This was not a like get rid of another Aussie.
Yeah,
I think this was a Kirby. I think this is a good. We could do this. This has got momentum. That people are getting on board. I just think Shonny's in a really interesting position now. I think Shonny is flown massively under the radar.
Yep.
And I think she can be collected as a vote for groups that want to swing either way.
I think she will be. I think she's demonstrated.
I honestly don't know what's going to happen now. This game is just blown wide open now. Like I don't know whether Parv and Suri are still going to be super, super tight because they had to drop. Like, it's so weird. It's weird.
Such an individual. It's becoming so clear that like such high caliber individual plays moving around, and not even necessarily voting blocks. It's the kind of like people are coming together when it's convenient and they're leaving when it's not. The other question I wanted to ask you is, in terms of pulling together a ride or die and a solid partner, is Merge far too late for something like that to be happening?
Well, again, compacted game. Like this is an unknown territory. Like we don't know whether you can form something this quick and be like, you're my new ride or die. This is happening now. Because at the end of the day, it's a day. It's a day. Like this is day 2 of the merge. Yeah. They did Sarah and now they've done Kirby. So it's a huge call.
Because historically, people would generally pair up in their tribe, right?
You had someone that
so it'd be pretty rare to late in the game be like, I found a new person and let's ride it out. Let's really go for it.
But if you really connect with them, like we're saying this like it's weird, but no, Parvati and Kirby had that.
Parvati did seem very torn. She did seem very torn. Like it didn't seem like an easy thing. It definitely seemed like she was definitely there for it, but saw, well, the tide's going this way. I just got to go with it.
Well, that's it. And Parv knows that. Like if there's 5 people that are saying, yeah, this is actually happening, then she'd be dumb to be the one person saying, no, I'm not going to do that, just to try and save face. But man, can we just say, like, Kirby was playing an awesome game, and I honestly think that she really has solidified herself as a legend of Australian Survivor.
Yeah,
with
agreed.
With this
a really good
performance
player.
again.
Yeah, totally. And it's
Like,
interesting how she mentioned the trust issues with Ferris and things like that, and like trying to really hone in on that of like, this is something that happened last time. How do we right those wrongs from last time? And how can I confirm with people? And it seemed like she kind of had a pretty good read on Parvati, but the broader context of that and who's Parvati's relationships and everyone else, it just didn't click into gear.
Yeah, and I think Shani saw as well that Parv was the apple of Kirby's eye.
Yeah.
And that she had moved on to, and it's funny because she did that in the Australian tribe where she moved on from Sarah to Shani.
Yeah.
And then Shani was then seeing it there. So
Yeah,
it's interesting. But then ultimately Shani didn't vote for Kirby though.
No, she was left out of that. So
yeah, so very interesting. Josh, let's get to some spinning and grinning.
let me click it again.
Let's do it again.
Oh no.
Oh, it's
Riverside.
awful.
Here we go.
No.
All right, let's try this.
You said Russell feathers.
Well, there's that one's working.
we're
How about
rustling
this
feathers.
one?
Spinning grin.
There we
There
go.
you go. We're
Just to
doing
let
it live.
everybody know, I clicked the right button. The software failed there, so don't blame me.
Good.
So we're spinning and grinning.
I think
don't know.
Janine.
I think Janine.
I think it's got to be Janine, man.
Yeah.
Janine was all over this episode,
Yeah.
and I was having a go at her the last week for like not being there to play and not really being that focused, and she just came out swinging when she's on the bottom and you have to fight. Janine fought.
Yeah, I think Janine has done a very, very good job of subtly coming into people. And it's almost like the absolute antithesis of George, right? Like we saw how George played versus Janine now. And that subtlety has been really nice to see of just conversations with people, you know, and putting stuff out there. So I think, spin and grin for Janine.
Yep.
It was to Russell feathers, Ruffle feathers.
The podcast audience holds their breath to make sure it works.
Waiting.
What are we thinking? Who ruffled feathers?
I'd almost kind of say Kirby because like she clearly ruffled so many feathers that everyone wanted her out. And she was really trying to latch on with Parvati. Yeah. And it kind of just didn't play out. So maybe Kirby, what are you thinking?
Yeah, there's Kirby.
Maybe it's Janine as well.
Like Janine was the one that set everything in motion. Like it was really good and it ruffled feathers.
So maybe the Sari and Janine conversation, that's a big hit for Janine too.
You said Russell feathers.
Correct. I think Janine had this conversation with Parv as well, and that ruffled some feathers there. And I reckon that's planted seeds for later on down the line for Cass and Parv to. Yeah, so let's do the double for
Big
Janine.
one for Janine. And as well, very understated, I think. Not super showy. So good job from Janine.
Yeah, and I think this is another one in the jury. If she gets there, she can point to these things and go, I didn't have to be super flashy, but I did things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's really good.
I distracted them with my hat.
You love that hat. And can we just say, on everyone's water bottle out there has their name on it, so you don't drink out of someone's water bottle.
Yeah.
Learn how to spell people's names from the water bottle. Pro tip, guys. Just look at their water bottle and you go, oh, that's how you spell Sari. Okay, I've got it.
I also love Luke's like complete abandonment of a try. He's like, I don't care how me to spell your name. I don't care where you're from. Like he's like, whatever.
It's phonetic. It's phonetics. It's just like, yep, here you go, and whatever. Yeah, I think that's right. That's how we're going to end the podcast today.
I would also just like to thank everyone who came out to our live show last night on Monday night.
Good.
It was so much fun. So great to see everyone. Such a fun night. Having all these Survivor contestants. A lot of time to hang out and chat. So thanks to everyone who turned up. It was really fun. Hopefully we can do some more in the future.
Yes, go and like and subscribe. It just helps. We hit over 400 subscribers on YouTube, so continue to subscribe. Tell your friends. We have fun here. Hope you guys too. We love talking Survivor. It's good. It's fun for the whole family.
It is. And we'll see you next week.
See you, gang. Bye.